We are live with another episode of BS Busters. This one, overall, is going to focus on consoles and some retro games and some old franchises that we would like to see brought back into the limelight. Before we go any further, I'll let the other person here introduce himself. Go ahead, mannequin with the attitude problem.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dr. Feelgood here, the guy with the smooth moves and groovy tunes, always in a damn good gaming mood. Let's get this started.
All right. And as you know, it's me, Mr. Red Fox, your humble host, or not so humble, depending on how you want to brand me. So this week has been a lot of stuff has come out. I would advise go watch any of the numerous podcasts that have been put up over the last few days about PS4 Plus and Pro and all that other shit. If you want to hear all about it, I am not going to talk about the PS4 in any 4 Pro or any of that stuff, except in regards to how it has been affecting gamers. So one of the big issues that's come out this week is that apparently Sony is hesitant to allow mods for games on their system. The problem is that if you own an Xbox One or a PC version of said game, you have access to mods. So, how do people feel that? How does anyone feel about how maybe this shit is? Maybe if you own a PS4 version of a game that has mods, you're getting the short end of the stick.
I mean, I'm not big on the modding community. Like, I'm not that big of a PC gamer, so I will admit that. But I don't think it's a terrible thing, but it's definitely not a good thing. I will admit that. It just seems to me that I know there are a lot of PC gamers that will prefer that shit happen.
What, that consoles don't get don't get mod support?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, mod support. Because, I mean, it's not that... Like I said, personally, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not that big on, not a big PC gamer, but I know that the PC gaming community is a little bit pissed off about that, especially if these same people have PS4s and would love to play, games on the PS4 with mods, especially when you look at the Xbox One allowing that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I can... Look, I've been on both sides of the coin. I've been the person who had a PS3 version of Elder Scrolls, and you look at the amount of mod support and downloadable content that was available for the version on the Xbox 360 versus what was available on the PS3, and it was like we were getting shafted. Like I said, I'm of two minds. On one side, I can see where a console is a console. But on the other hand, I mean, if modders basically discover a way to add a really nice additional content to a game, and then basically like they can't get it, like wouldn't it be cool if you could download the Incredible Hulk mod for Grand Theft Auto 5 and play it on console? So then instead of you playing as Franklin, Trevor, or Michael, you're the Incredible Hulk just going around beating up people.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that question one more time?
I said, wouldn't it be cool if you could have, if someone could have had access to, if consoles had access to mods, especially PS4 players, wouldn't it be cool if they had access to the same type of cool shit that PC people had in terms of additional content? Because, I mean, that is kind of like, you paid $60. You paid around the same price as other people for your Fallout or the new Skyrim, whatever. And like other people who have this game on other consoles or PC have access to literally 200, 300, 400% more content than you do. Yeah.
I mean, I completely agree with that. I mean, who wouldn't want access to the same thing? You and I have been seeing that same song and dance when it comes to Wii U ports, that we
Oh
want
yeah.
all the
Yeah.
same content. So, do I sympathize with the Sony fans? Of course I do. I think you guys should definitely have access to the same features and options and content that the other console manufacturer or the console gives their fans, because especially if it's a multiplayer game. Like, for example, the game is on both. Then of course, I don't know why this is even an issue or something that needs to be discussed, because we should have to be discussing this because it should be even across the board. Now, do I understand that a company may offer something exclusive to get a certain camp to purchase their version instead? Of course. But this right here is not even something that's done by Sony. It's done by the fans. Why wouldn't you
That's
let your
true.
fans more or less express themselves? And I hate to say this, Sony, but you do have the most rambunctious type of fans.
Yeah, they are off the chain.
Yeah. I mean, your fans threaten people. Not trying to bring up any bad shit, but they
But they
do.
did. I
I
mean,
mean, but and I would hate for them to threaten you, especially giving your recent announcements with the PS Pro. I think you will at least want to give them this and give them this much.
yeah, I can understand it. I mean, the thing for me is like I understand for business reasons why, because like they don't want to get sued, right, by whoever holds the IPs that people may use, because I've seen mods for Skyrim and Fallout where they just rip shit away from other shit, like hey, it's Tony Stark's Hulkbuster, or hey, it's Link in Skyrim. It looked as freaky as you might imagine. Um, so, I mean, I can understand what they're trying to avoid, but in avoiding this, they just basically stepped into a pile of doo-doo. Wait, let me run that back. It doesn't sound right for a grown-ass man to say doo-doo. They stepped in a pile of dog excrement.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I mean, as I said, I mean, people don't assume that I'm not a Sony fan, because I am. I own the PS1, 2, and 3. I sympathize with you. You should have it, but I also understand your side, Red Fox, that when it comes to mods, typically, especially in today's gaming community, the gamers don't really care what they use and how. They don't care if it's even against the law in most cases. They don't.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I can see the mod thing becoming a problem if it gets out of hand. And I hate to throw this salt out there, but with Sony's infrastructure, I can see there being problems there as well.
Yeah, yeah. I could see it too. I could see it too. Yeah.
But like, people keep in mind, I sympathize with you. You should have it. As a Wii U owner, I have many games that are multiplats on it, and not having either all the DLC or any of it, or missing a feature that should be standard, I completely sympathize with the fact that you're lacking something the other party has. So, yeah, trust me, I'm on your side overall.
Yeah, we get shafted. If you're a Nintendo gamer, you're just used to getting shafted. I mean, not that you get used to it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, shafted many times over from all different orifices.
You're just gonna get screwed over. It's like, oh, I thought this was gonna be a good deal. Nope, you got shafted. But you get what I'm saying. For those of you who are watching the podcast, the Q&A app is open. Well, the comment app, because this thing doesn't have a Q&A app because it's stupid. So,
One more time, Red.
no, I just said the Q&A app is open. If any of the viewers want to ask questions, I'll try and answer them. You'll try to answer them. We'll try and answer them if you ask a intelligent, well-phrased question. So I guess we talked about the mods, so I guess we can move on to the next topic, which is Interplay's interdiction. Now, for those of you who don't know, Interplay is an old school developer that helped make a lot of games possible, some of which they helped foster from beginning to end. Some they just published, but they helped publish Lost Vikings, stuff like that. But here's a list of some of their of the IPs that they're selling off right now. Interplay fell on, but before this happened, Interplay fell on hard times a long time ago, and shit has not been good for them since. But they were forced to sell their biggest IP, Fallout, in 2007 to Bethesda, and that was not good. But here's what they have now: Battle Chess, Boogerman, Clay Fighter, Dark Alliance, Descent, Earthworm Jim, Free Space, Kingpin, Max, that's MAX in all capital letters with periods between all of them, Messiah, MDK, Redneck Rampage, Run Like Hell, Sacrifice, T-Rex Rumble, and Giants. So, anyone's thoughts on this?
I'm sorry, if I had to step away, what was your question again?
Interplay is gone under, and a lot of their franchises are being sold.
Oh yeah, I'm not happy they're gone under, but I'm happy that their IP's up for grabs, and I'm hoping that Microsoft doesn't get any of them.
Yeah, because Microsoft has shown that they know how to fuck up a franchise.
No, it's for me. It's not even that. I just don't want them to buy it and sit on it like they're doing a lot of great IPs right now. I really hope Nintendo scoops up Earthworm Jim, and didn't they also do Toe Jam and Earl?
No. I think they may have helped publish it, but they that's Sega's baby, or it used to be until the rights left Sega. Or maybe they licensed it out to those people doing the new Toe Jam and Earl game. No, here are the games that are up for the IPs that are up for sale: Battle Chess, Boogerman, Clay Fighter, Dark Alliance, Descent, Earthworm Jim, Free Space, Kingpin, Max, Messiah, MDK, Redneck Rampage, Run Like Hell, Sacrifice, T-Rex Rumble, and Giants.
Now, I do love Boogerman. I mean, I think it's a decent side scroller. So, I actually have that on my Wii. So, if
you are the only one. No, I'm joking. You're not the only one who thinks that's a decent side scroller.
I may be. I thought it was a very unique game.
It is unique. I'll give you that much. It is very unique. I can name about. Like Battle Chess, I know. Boogerman, I know. Clay Fighter, I know. Dark Alliance, I know. Descent, I know. Earthworm Jim, I know. Free Space, I know. Free Space, Kingpin, Max, and Messiah, I'm familiar with, but I don't really know those games. MDK, I know. Redneck Rampage, I know. Giants, I know. The other games, I know about 50% of the games in this list.
Well, what are you hoping gets purchased and by who?
Well, I would like to see a indie developer get Earthworm Jim, or a small mid-tier studio. I don't want to see one of the big publishers get it, because then they'll just do some weird shit with it, kind of like Activision is doing with Crash Bandicoot and Spyro.
Don't mention that, please.
Yeah. That's why I don't want any of the big ones to get it. Battle chess. I would like to see someone do another battle chess, but if they did like a battle chess game where like it was like chess, like you had to move like chess, but then like when you fought another chess piece, like it would turn into like a beat 'em up kind of. I think that would be cool. Like kind of like a mix between not a beat 'em up, kind of like a mix between like a Army Men for the Game Boy, not Army Men. Oh shit, Army Wars for the Game Boy. Except like the pieces, like your pieces, even if you have a pawn versus a knight, if you're skilled enough as a pawn, you can beat the knight and take their space. So it's not so easy. Although the stats would be different, I think that would be cool.
But at the end of the day, man, it's all about Clay Fighter.
You know, Clay Fighter was good for the time because people liked the graphics because we never seen anything like that. I really don't want to see God. Okay, I have Clay Fighter 1, Clay Fighter 2, and Clay Fighter 3 and a third, and I do not like Clay Fighter. It's like it plays like a shittier version of Street Fighter, except
Come on, man.
No, the graphics are what make that game. It's like basically it plays better than Mortal Kombat, but it's like the graphics of that game they're the only real redeeming feature of the title. Although I would say this much, it would be cool to see another Clay Fighter nowadays with the technology we have. Because think about it, like if you use that whatever engine they use to do Kirby's Canvas Curse with that clay.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
Clay Fighter, oh shit, that would be like one of the best games ever.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think? And I'm not trying to be biased here, but if I am, I mean, fuck it. But do you think Nintendo is going to purchase any of these?
Oh hell no! These are pie in the sky wants. Like none of this. No, the only thing I could see Nintendo maybe purchasing would be maybe Earthworm Jim. That's it. Earthworm Jim and maybe
get Clay Fighter, even though it was on their system.
Yeah, but Clay Fighter was on a lot of systems. Clay Fighter was on the Genesis too.
True. Well,
I mean, like I said, Clay Fighter. I mean, to tell you the truth, I would prefer. You know what would be a dream for me? This kind of segues into the next topic, but fuck it, it's more fun to talk about the games that could be made. My ultimate dream thing to do would be for Nintendo to buy Earthworm Jim and then contract Playtonic to make a 3D Earthworm Jim game, open world Earthworm Jim game.
Okay, I can see
they
that.
could do it. Because we all know they know how to make a 3D platformer. And the one bad Earthworm Jim game was Earthworm Jim 3D because the people behind it did not know how to make a 3D platformer. And so I would totally love to see an Earthworm Jim platformer. That would be the shit to me. I'd be like, you know what? This is totally worth it. Earthworm Jim platformer.
I can see that.
With shooting elements, because I mean, these are the people who made Jet Force Gemini. Like, we know they can do it. They have the skills. They have the abilities to make this game work.
Well, I hope all goes well, man. I hope we get something, at least the better parts of it.
Maybe they could get Playtime to make a Booger Man, a 3D Booger Man. Dude. Look, we already know they can make something utterly disgusting. These are the same people who did Conquer Bad Fur Day. We know they can do it. Then it would totally make sense for you to fight a giant mountain of shit.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny? That was supposed to be a sequel to Booger Man, but it never came to be.
Because the first game just did not sell well. Like, the only thing that game had going for it was that it was, like, totally disgusting. And people, it was almost taboo. But, I mean, people played it. And, I mean, I'm glad you found your Zen Center to really, but I played that game and I was like, this game, like, is overly difficult. The enemies are on your ass. And it's like, the difficulty curve is, Like Boogerman has a difficulty curve that's backwards. It starts out really hard, and then towards the end of the game, it gets easier, which is weird. It's like, wait a second. Normally, it's backwards. It starts out easy, and then towards the end, it ramps up. But
I'm gonna have to upload some gameplay of that probably for the next OGL.
Yeah, although I will say this much though, the voices, the voices for the character are hilarious. He's like Booger Man. Yeah. I'm like, come on, man, come on. Like I said, the game, I rented that game quite a bit when I was a kid, because I was one of those people that if I couldn't beat a game or if it was just like kicking my ass, I would not stop going for it until, I wouldn't stop going back until I beat it. But Boogerman was one of those games where it's like I hated it after a while, but I wouldn't stop going back until I could beat it.
But
yeah, I was one of those gamers.
But what this reminds me of, and this, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but this reminds me of THQ, and subsequently, it reminds me that the crash is here. People keep saying that the crash is coming. I agree with Rageaholic. The crash has already happened. When you see companies closing their doors, various companies going out of business or closing their doors or just being completely abandoned by, publishers and or console manufacturers, it's already here. Can you honestly today name a mid-tier / B grade game developer? Or hell, even
Nordic Games.
And honestly, there's not many. It used to be an ocean of them, but now it's like you got three.
They outnumbered the big four, the big three. When I say big three, I don't mean like Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. It used to be Nintendo, Sega.
I know you. Well, when you say big three, to me it means Activision, Ubisoft, EA.
Yeah, and when I say third parties, it used to be Acclaim, Midway. Let's see who else. Interplay, Virgin Interactive.
Even people like what, Cynosis on the PS1.
Yeah. Cynosis. Crytek, because Crytek released a few games.
It just sucks now because hell. It's terrible that today you don't even, when they announce a game, whether it be a media outlet that got a hold of a leak or they officially unveiled the game, usually you hear the publisher's name, but rarely the developer, unless the developer comes out and talks about it or something. But usually it's like, this game brought to you by EA. But EA didn't develop the game, they just simply published the game.
Yeah. The sad thing is that all the mid-tier developers took chances.
Yeah,
because they had to, because they couldn't be like the mid-tier developers gave us Gauntlet Legends and NBA Jam and Tecmo Super Bowl and Tecmo Bowl and stuff like that. They weren't trying to be like everybody else because they couldn't be, because they, first of all, a lot of times they didn't have the money for the licensing. So they had to be innovative, and that gave you a better game because they had to do something different to stand out from the big guys. But now that there's little to no mid-tier publishers or developers. I guess technically speaking, you could say Nintendo, on terms of size, is a mid-tier publisher, but in terms of scope, they aren't. That's the closest you're gonna get to a successful mid-tier publisher.
And like I said, to me, it's saddening because I remember, back in the day when you had so many options for games, and there were a few bullshit titles out there, but the amount of games that were at least, acceptable to play, to decently fun, to fun as hell, were a lot higher. The ratio was a lot higher than it is today. I would say out of every 10 games back in the day when it was just a flurry of mid-tier developers, was probably out of every 10 games, a good 7 or 8 were worth purchasing and playing. And you had those two bottom of the barrel games where it's like, yeah, this shit's not going to sell. But today it's like out of every 10 games, only 1 or 2 are actually worth purchasing.
Yeah. You know what? Here's what messed up mid-tier developers, in my opinion. Mid-tier developers started trying to be like the big boys, and that shot them in the ass.
Now, to me, mid-tier developers, I mean, I agree with you there, but I think for me, it's they wanted to do more, but they went to a loan shark for the money.
Yeah.
And that right there, when you accept a loan, you no longer basically own your own product, more or less, because they're going to make you sign on the dotted line in a way that they can change things. They can make you rush the project. Something that should take 3 years, they're going to make you do it in 1. Something that you should, do, quality assurance testing for in-house, they're going to make you just throw a bait out there and, to the crowd. I'm not trying to go off on a tangent. If I did, I apologize. But this whole interplay thing, it makes me sad though, because it lets you know where gaming has gone and where it's continuing to go, and that's down the shitter.
Yeah, I was about to say it's going down the crapper. Flush, boosh. And the saddest thing about all of this is that like these IPs are going to go to people who don't appreciate them. They're going to get spot and sat on, and nothing's going to happen. Or if they do, it's going to be some bullshit cash-in. So if Activision gets it, it's going to be some bullshit cash-in, because that's all Activision does is just fucking bullshit cash-ins nowadays.
Yeah, it really does suck, but hey, that's the way the industry works now. It's that if you are a good developer, you fall into that. You go to a publisher for help because you want to grow up, so to speak, and join the big boy crowd. But man, fuck the crowd. Like, keep doing you. I don't care if your game looks like a 6th gen game. If that shit is fun, I will still buy it.
Well, you know what bites these mid-tier what bit the mid-tier publishers and developers in the ass is that they were like, okay, we need more money. Like in their head, they want to have what the big guys have, not realizing what the big guys have to do to get to be big guys. And it's like you should be building a niche and growing your niche. Like what brought down a lot of mid-tier developers was the ones that failed on their own, was them trying to branch out into shit that wasn't their wheelhouse. Like what hurt Hudson was trying to make shit that wasn't Bomberman. What hurt, some of those games were good, but they weren't going to sell as well or be as popular as what their core franchise was, which was Bomberman and Adventure Island. Okay? You look at THQ. THQ was known for making little shitty licensed games that some of them were oddly kind of good, like Tak and the Power of Juju, or those wrestling games that everyone loves that I felt were meh. THQ could be counted to do like little, like AA titles, and then they would polish the hell out of them, and they'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree, man. One of my favorite companies from back in the day is Midway and Acclaim, because they took sports sims and turned the sim part on their heads.
Yep.
And to this day, I still have Open Ice, which is 2-on-2 hockey with no rules. I still have NBA Jams and NBA Hang Times. I still have a Blitz.
Yep.
Hell, even a Spy Hunter on the PS2. Back those type of games, they can serve two purposes. They can be popcorn games where you want to just pop in something and play and not have to actually dedicate a full hour to complete a game. You can pop those games in and play for 5 or 10 minutes and be done with it. But they're so damn fun, especially with friends. You can play for hours.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I liked Midway because they gave me Gauntlet Legends, which is like one of my favorite 4-player. It's an arcade port, but it's not a port from the arcade. It's better than the arcade version of that game.
Yeah, I have it on
the
N64. I have it on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that game is fun as hell. I love Extreme G2. It's like one of my favorite Acclaim games. I like Shadow Man. That's another Acclaim game. I mean, some really good titles. And, it's like for some reason from the 5th gen, from the jump from 5th to 6th gen kind of brought down Midway and Acclaim a little bit. Of course, once you find out after the fact, Acclaim was always one bad game away from shutting their doors. Like one flop and they were fucked. And Midway, the mid-tier dudes were always hovering on a knife's edge, which kind of sucks in retrospect. But whatever.
You know what? I think Midway's problem, and even Acclaim up to a certain extent, was that they basically pulled a Capcom back then. Like, okay, for example, the first NBA Jam was great. The sequel was better in every single way. Every single way.
It was more polished. Yep.
And then, of course, you had the spinoff, which is like College Slam, which is NBA Jam for the college schools. Okay, we get that.
It was still fun, though. It was still fun.
It's still fun as hell. But then you had the NBA Jam, which had the 3D models with the big-ass heads. That wasn't
that was kind of weird.
Yeah, and then you had NBA Jam 99 or something like it. Like, basically, they tried to jump to that whole 3D polygonial model thing, and it's like, dude, keep it simple. We don't need the big budget graphics. And the same thing happened to, what was that company? I forget the name of the company, but the ones that made NFL Game Day. The game days were fun as hell and a great alternative to Madden games. But then when they made that jump to the big, bulky 3D models, it was garbage.
Well, it's like NFL. It's like the 2K and Sega NFL games. Like, those games were fun. And they had their own thing going on because they were different from Madden. Because fundamentally speaking, Madden has not fucking changed in 20 goddamn years. Like, really, it has not changed. It's basically the same shit over and over and over and over and over and fucking over and over and over. God, I'm sorry. I hate to say this, but Madden needs to die. Like, it needs to go on a hiatus for the next 5 years.
Hey, you and I agree on something. I'm going to say this, and I'm pretty sure we may lose a few viewers and subscribers, but I have not played Madden since Madden on the N64. Oh. And let me tell you why. The reason why is because I used to love Madden. I thought it was a great sim game, but when it became more sim than it needed to be, at that point I became uninterested. And the reason why is because, look, I think it's great. You give me an actual football game, the 11-on-11, whatever, and you give me the stats for the players and things like that. You give me the season, even make your own plays. I get it. I totally get it, but when you start adding in realistic eyes that don't move, that don't have any movement, which is referred to as dead eye in Hollywood, when you make it to where like, oh, now you got to make sure the ball lands directly in your hands. Look, if I want to play football, I go outside and play it, but I want to play football game. And they started getting so sim-like to where it's like, okay, NFL Blitz just became one of my favorite sports games overall because I could play a game in 5 to 10 minutes, and it was everything I loved about football. Well, not that I love people getting hurt, but I love the hard hits, the almost impossible catches, the just the breaking tackles, all that.
You like the visceralness of it.
It was all the good stuff about it, and none of the slow bullshit of having to kick you for your extra point and line up the ball, and I mean all that. It took out all the useless bullshit that people don't care about in the sim games.
Yeah.
Same thing for the whole and this is back when EA was good. EA big with the NBA Street, FIFA Street,
NFL Street. Yeah. Well, those kind of had the same thing. Like for me personally, see you still were on it longer than me. The last Madden that I owned, and I still have this cartridge, is Madden on the Madden. It doesn't even have a year. It's Madden on the SNES. That's the last Madden game that I fucking owned. Yeah. And here's the irony. The only Madden game, the only football game that I can play repeatedly for like hours on end is not made by EA or Sega or Midway or whoever made those other ones. My favorite football game is Tecmo Bowl. No one can defeat the power of Bo Jackson. Nobody. Look, if EA wanted to be cool, make a retro football game with Bo Jackson in it and give him the ungodly stats he had in Tecmo Bowl. I'll be happy. I'll buy that shit.
Well, do you recall this game? The Charles Barkley Shut Up and Jam?
Oh, God, that game was hilarious. That game was a good game, but it also was kind of hilarious. I remember when I got Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City, and I thought it was a basketball game, but it was like a platformer. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? And then I kept on playing. I'm like, actually, I'm enjoying it. It's a surprisingly good game. I'm like, damn, I thought this was going to be a steaming pile of shit.
Boy, those are the days, man, where you it was almost guaranteed that a game was gonna give you some type of good entertainment, but you just couldn't afford it because you weren't working. If you're my age, you definitely didn't have a job back then unless you were cutting yards.
And games were expensive back then. You'd have to cut yards for an entire summer, and part of yours, like maybe on Saturdays and Sundays, during the week when school started. And you might get enough money after working 6-7 months to get one game. You're like, okay, And
then your choice was, okay, do I get Michael Jackson Moonwalk or Streets to Rage?
Moonwalk. Tell you the truth, I mean, I like both of them. I like Moonwalker and Streets of Rage. I had a Super Nintendo, so like shit was even more expensive, and I liked RPGs, which meant that. Like all the shit that I wanted to buy was always more expensive. Even some of the non-RPGs because they had a bigger cart. Like Mega Man X2 was like $70. It's like, what the fuck is this shit right here? That's why my old friend Mr. Layaway came in very, very, very friendly. But I digress. Anything you want to mention about that topic before we move on to the next one?
No, we can go to the next one.
Okay, then. So our final topic is, if we had like a conventional R&D budget, what type of what would we want from a console if we had the money to design it ourselves? Like, what would we want from it? What would we want to be able to do and play and all that shit?
Well, it's actually a very good question. So, if we had our own money to make a console, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get to choose what we want, how we want it made, what features would I want on a console?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Let's see here. I think first it would be physical medium. Of course, I would actually have to say I hope it uses something similar to the 3DS, a small but powerful cartridge. If it's
Okay.
as small as an SD card, I'm okay with that, or a compact flash, whatever. But something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
I would want this. This may sound stupid, but even today, if this console was released today, I would want its standard native resolution and performance. I want all games to be locked 720p, 60 frames per second.
Okay. Okay.
And the reason why I say that is this: people, I have 1080p everything in my house. Don't get me wrong. I like to edit video. I'm not on Mr. T's level by any means. But let me tell you something. When it comes to memory bandwidth and amount of space that digital content takes up, 1080p 60 frames per second is almost useless for double the space. The marginal improvement you get is barely noticeable. So that's why even now that I have, my Wii U and all my stuff, like I have everything in my home, even though it's capable of 1080p, I still play it at 720p because it's just less stressful, and you don't get the benefit of that larger size and higher resolution unless you have a larger television and you're sitting further away. That's it. But to me, I would just make it where, nope, you can't make a game lower than that. You can't make a game higher than that. Every game, 720p, 60. I don't give a shit if it's an RPG. It's 60 frames per second. So that way, you can hit those goals easily. I can get a game twice the size as Xenoblade Chronicles X.
I agree with you on that, except I would say one caveat. They could if they could lock it at 30, because I know some games, based on the art style and how they want to make it look, like 60 would look weird for some of them. But I mean, as long as it's locked and smooth, I have to agree with you. It's either going to be 30 or 60. Yeah, you got to tell people clearly it's going to be 720p, 30 frames per second, 720p, 60 frames per second. Like, it's got to be smooth and no dipping. Like, no.
Yeah, and I would tell them, like, no, it has to be locked. I don't want any variable, no dips, no anything. Like, I'm going to make a console that, regardless of what you want to do, is going to output at 720p, 30 or 60 frames per second. That's it. Native, that way, almost anything you want to do as far as features in the game, you can do. You're not wasting all your assets and your power on just a pre-screen. Yep. Exactly. 2, I would definitely want, this would be the third thing, I would definitely want it to, I want them to place a focus on, ever learning and advancing AI. Because today we have games that are cool as games, but the AI just ruins it. Like, it's just
as dumb as it was during the PS1. Hell, I've seen games where the AI is dumber than what we had on a 16-bit system.
Yeah, and it's terrible. It's like, yeah, please, I want you to dedicate something in that system, hardware-wise and software, that it just handles all the AI. Like, honestly. And then it's an AI that learns, more or less. Now, I'm not saying it becomes impossible to beat, but it learns.
You want adaptive AI.
This flat ass, it adapts to your play style or whatever.
Yeah. So if you play aggressively, let's say you're playing like a beat 'em up, well, not like an open world adventure, and you have to take out strongholds in order to like advance the game. Like, if you play aggressively, you might have taken that stronghold, but maybe they sent a runner to that other stronghold, so there's going to be more dudes who are counter to your aggressive playstyle at that next stronghold you're going to have to take, because they got smart. They're like, hey, this is not going to be that easy, motherfucker. You got to change up how you play in order to get farther into the game.
Exactly. The next thing I would say is that, and this may sound stupid, but being an old school gamer, I would want it to support I say I want to support component because people don't realize this, but if you really think about it, HDMI is a type of DRM.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Because right now, if you buy a Blu-ray player, you cannot eat a movie without HDMI plugging. Like, even if you use a different device, like I have a PS3, when you put in a Blu-ray movie, it will not display unless it's hooked to HDMI because it uses HDCP.
Yep.
So HDMI is actually one of the oldest and earliest types of DRM for the HD era.
Yep.
Because they can really, really knock your shit out. Like, honestly, right now, if I go to my PS3 and I put in a Blu-ray movie that I actually own, or even if I go to Vudu or some streaming service, honestly, if it would not output in high definition unless I have an HDMI cable. Anything that streams, more than likely, it has to have an HDMI cable. It's going to ask you for it. It's going to say we won't be able to play this back until you hook up an HDMI cable, even though you have a component cable. You just finished playing the game. So to me, HDMI and component, just like the 360 and PS3 would allow. But you look at the newer systems today, even the Wii U, although the Wii U you can buy a lower like component cable, I believe, or whatever, but they're forcing you to use HDMI because they're using Blu-rays, and because the Blu-ray conglomerate, they made it where it's standard that you have to use HDMI to view Blu-ray, unless you bought one of those early Blu-ray players that supported HDMI and component plugins. So that's another thing. I want it to be a flexible system. I think the next thing, well, we know the obvious things I would like. Of course, I want a great online infrastructure, but I would say
you don't want to pay for it.
No, I don't mind. No, don't get me wrong. I don't mind paying for it, but do I think we should pay for it? No, I don't think we should. But I will say this: I want the focus always be single player experience and campaign. Single player and couch co-op. I don't want the focus to be multiplayer and you throw in single player. I want it to be where you design this game with single player in mind, and then if you feel it fits, that hey, you can throw in a multiplayer mode if it makes sense. But I want every game standard to have a single player and not some 10-minute bullshit, 3 or 4 hour bullshit. I mean, I want it to be single player games as a standard for the system. And today,
you sound like
you
you
got
want
games like
kind of
Overwatch.
like it was. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, you're right. I do. I want it to be like it was back in the day. Not completely, but I will say this. I love online gaming. I will admit it. I have thousands of hours on probably each one of my consoles for online gaming. I do. Just as much as online gaming, single player campaigns that are more than just an hour long. The reason why is because there ain't nobody we're playing with online. Your friends are not available, and the ones that people that are available are either playing different shit or they may suck. But there are times it's like I don't want to need an internet connection just to enjoy a game. Like I thought it was stupid that when they released Black Ops 3, they said, well, the last gen systems won't have well, every Call of Duty before now
Had a single player
campaign mode and multiplayer, but you're trying to force people to buy the newer version.
if you want the single player. But let's keep it real. The single player for Call of Duty has been rather lackluster over the last 2 or 3, 4 iterations. It's like,
I mean, you're right. It's been lackluster, and it's never really been great.
Yeah.
But I can say this: it is a 4-hour Michael Bay Hollywood movie.
Yeah, and if you like that, I mean, you know.
Yes.
For me personally, I have to agree with you. I would like for games to become more like they were. Like, remember how rare games were back during the N64 days, where like the game would have a single player focus, but then it would have an oddly good multiplayer. Like, this is odd. This is perfectly good. This is actually kind of fun. Like, I wish more games would be like that, where the primary focus is single player, but there's also a perfectly serviceable multiplayer there too. I don't think a game should be built around multiplayer, because for me, games that are built solely around multiplayer are boring as fuck. Like, Splatoon is one of the few games that I can play and actually get kind of like, oh, this is actually kind of fun. Because most of them, I just lose interest after about, I'd say about 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, and this is gonna sound like I'm a fanboy, and maybe I am. I don't care what you think. Another feature I have to have a gamepad. Fuck anyone that disagrees.
I can understand that.
And the reason why is because
for that off-screen play.
For the off-screen play, I mean, plus, For those that shit on the Wii U or haven't experienced it, let me tell you, the Wii U is the most fun you can have and probably will ever have across console generations when it comes to in your living room gameplay, especially with the gamepad. How there are more than a few games that offer the asynchronous gameplay. I'm telling you, it's fun as hell having two different perspectives simultaneously that are definitely operated in different ways. It's too fun. Family comes over to my home, the first thing they ask for is the Wii U. They ask for me to pull out the games and to play. It's that simple. They don't request Call of Duty. I have it. They don't request to play that. They don't request to play any other more serious games. The first things they ask for are Nintendo Land, Mario Party, and a few other games I have. Games that 5 people can play at once, and everyone has a different role to play.
So fun games.
You really can't get it better than that.
So fun games. They want
good
fun.
Old couch co-op. Because think about it today. Do co-op online. Can you do co-op play on Call of Duty on the Xbox One or PS4? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. No.
Can you even do co-op online multiplayer like you could back on the 360 or can you do that?
They cut
Whereas
it out.
two people that get on.
They want to sell more copies. Yeah, they want to sell more copies. Speaking of Madden, I know this is kind of a little bit off topic, but Tecmo Bowl 2017 returns this year with updated rosters. This is the annual franchise that I give a shit about.
So now, will it be just like the old, or will it's going to update it to like Madden?
They're adding new characters and everything, man. They're updating it. They do this every year, by the way. I'm just saying, yeah, it's kind of lame, but yeah. That's how little I give a shit about Madden. I'm more excited about a patch to an NES game than I am about a new Madden. Because Madden is just so damn boring. It's just like, Like, I see people that are excited about it, and I'm like, why? It's the same regurgitated shit every year. But I get what you're saying. You want innovation on your console, and that's a hard sell. That's a hard sell.
But
People
not
don't
just
want
that.
innovation anymore.
If I had to sum it up for my ideal system, I want 6th-gen system with today's, and the games from back then, but with today's advanced technology and infrastructure. That's what I want. So basically, give me a Super Nintendo, give me a Sega Genesis, give me a Dreamcast or PS2. Just give me today's internet. Give me today's internet infrastructure. Give me today's technology. I don't care if you just basically rehash all those same games. Give me an online Streets of Rage too. I don't care if you get the same game and just smooth out the jaggies, and from there just give me online multiplayer. But I don't care. I would take that. I would gladly take that. Hell, make it where it's 4 people on the screen at the same time instead of just 2. Give me the same 2D stages. I don't care. But if I could have that old console in today's world and it's compatible with it, I will be completely fine with that. Hell, I hope that's what the NX is. I'm not gonna bullshit. I hope it's a damn Super Nintendo that's compatible with today's technology.
I deal with it. Like, the thing is that people are so caught up on technology that they forget that technology is supposed to make shit easier, not harder. We went from basically all you needed to own a console was the TV and a controller in the game and the cables to attach it to your TV. Now you need internet. Now you need hard drive. Now you need a hard drive. Now you need all this other extra shit. It's not gaming. By and large, has lost a lot of its fun, and I'm not sure why. Well, I know why, because gamers stopped expecting and demanding innovation and started going for stupid shit. Oh well. So, I'm not even going to talk about what.
What about you?
You basically echoed a lot of things I was going to say. So I just basically said I would like it, but I would like this too. So, I mean, we've breached all the topics. So, anything you want to bring up before we wrap things up? Any extra topic you want to bring up?
Yeah. I'm going to make a video dissecting, and the purpose of this video is to eviscerate the PS4 reveal, PS4 Pro. Nothing against Sony personally, but it was bullshit. So I already did a podcast about it, which is kind of impromptu, but I'm going to make one video about it. So
yeah, it was.
This is not targeted at anyone in particular. It's not me targeting the big YouTubers, but I'm going to make my own video about it. I'm still working on a few things. I forget who it was. I think it was Eric Maverick. Shout out to him. But he asked me, would I ever get back into doing the what was it? I think it was either my philosophy podcast or something. Where one of them, he said that when you do another podcast about the me industry or something like that, and I told him that I wanted to, but because those were so long back then that I have to probably do like shorter segments, but yes, I will do that for you, man. I think it'll be a great idea. It was a very serious topic, so yeah, I can do that. Other than that, be on the lookout for the OGL number 33, I think, this Wednesday, unless something comes up. What's going on Sunday with Gamers at Large, if there's going to be anything up. I think Liger has something tonight of in duo, maybe off air or whatnot. Not sure it's going to be live. But be sure to check it out. And as I always say, keep it gaming.
Or else. No, I'm joking. It's me, Mr. Red Fox, signing off. It was a shorter one, but fuck it. Sometimes you need to keep things brief. Another BS Busters coming next week. September 17th. Where the topic will be overrated versus underrated. So we'll talk about overrated games versus underrated games. And, some people's feelings are going to get hurt because the truth is going to come out. We might even throw a few classics under the bus. So look forward to that one. And good night.
See you later. Peace.